Hello everyone, it's Sabrina here from Paper Architecture with Sabrina and Aspiring to Creativity. I've decided to make this little video tutorial for you. I had a lot of people ask me about my Botanical Tea pop-up box card. I no longer have that card with me, so I can't show it to you. But I thought since people had asked, and on top of that my mom asked me to make one for her friend whose husband is not having too much longer to live. So what I'm going to do is walk you through making this card for my mom's friend. And this is kind of the base of what it looks like. This, when you unfold it and go like this, it is the size of an A7, which is 5 inches by 7 inches. So 5 by 7, and it fits nicely into that envelope this way. When we are constructing the card, the pop-up card box, we need to get the words out right. We need to keep in consideration the way that the box folds when we put in the card with the things that we put in here popping out of the box, so that when we fold it, it can fit nicely within the parameters of the card. If you are going to give the card without it being folded up, you can be more elaborate with what you put inside and not worry about the size limitations for an envelope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the measurements for an A2 card, which fits is the size of an A2 card when it's all folded up, and that would be 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. So when you are doing that size, you would need to cut your piece to be 9 inches by 5 1/2 inches. So I'm working with the 5 by 7 A7 size card, and for that you need a piece that's 10 1/2 inches by 7 inches, and you're going to score it. Let's get this out here. So 10 1/2 by 7, you're going to have the 10 1/2 inches going across the top, and you're going to score it at 2 1/2 inches, at 5 inches, at 7 1/2 inches, and at 10 inches. Okay, and that gives you a 1/2 inch extra here that we need to work with. Then you're going to turn it, okay, so that the bottom is on the left side. Okay, so we have to remember that that's going to be the bottom on the left side, and we're going to score it at 3 3/4. Okay, just that one score line. Then you're going to take your scissors, and remember this is the bottom. If you forget, the longer measurement is going to be the bottom of the box. The shorter measurement is going to be the flaps of the box. So we don't need this tab at the flaps of the box, so you can cut at a slight angle just through the intersecting scoring lines, and then just on the inside, so that there's no score line showing on the box tab, you're going to cut that flap, I should say, you're going to cut that away. Alright, so that looks like this. And for this reason I like to use my larger scissors. Then what I like to do is, rather than cutting down the center of the score line and kind of seeing a little bit of the score line on each side of the flap, I like to cut right on the very edge of one side of the score line, just through the intersecting line. Then cut on the other side of the score line, just through the intersecting line, and then you can rip that piece off. So you have a little bit of a gap. It does two things. When you're folding a box, you're going to get a really good fold every time because you don't have to worry about things that you have to trim away and overlap. And also in this case, you're not going to see, and we're not going to be folding it that way, but you're not going to see that fold line or that score line on your box flaps. And it makes it a tiny bit easier to fold up when you have all the embellishments that we're going to be putting inside. Okay, so there we go. So your piece should look like this. Okay, and what you're going to do then is you're going to put some glue or double-sided adhesive on the little tab that we have here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our bone folder and fold all the crease all the score lines that we made. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is you're going to test it and make sure that it's going to be sitting right and that you don't have to trim anything else. And then we're going to score 3 of the box flaps, but one of them we want to keep straight up and down for the back. And that's going to be this piece here. Okay, so the side without the attachment tab is going to be the back of the box. So these other 3 flaps we can just gently, we're not going to use our bone folder on it, just gently press them down like so. Okay, that's a little easier to do now. So because we want to make sure that we never fold this flap that's going to be at the back of the box, you're going to have your designer paper, which measures 2 3/8 of an inch by 6 7 inches. Oh, sorry, 6 7/8. I left that part out. So 2 3/8 wide by 6 7/8 inches high. So I like to test it first, make sure I cut it right and it looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my backing off my double-sided adhesive and I'm going to attach it to the back, because that keeps me from folding that back flap on the box. We want to keep it upright. Okay, now you can just leave it like this, but there is no other place to write anything on the card. So if you want to write something on the card, this would be the spot to do it on. And so I have a piece here that's 2 inches by 5.5 inches. It can be longer than 5.5 inches. This just happened to be a scrap, and it fits pretty nicely back there with at that measurement, and so I decided to leave it that way. So I'm going to position it, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a bit more of the paper showing at the bottom, and I might put some embellishments there later, I don't know. So I'm going to position this like so. So that's going to be where my mom can write to her friend on it. Now the next thing we're going to do is you have 2 sizes that we need for our paper, and you're going to need 3 that measure 2 5/16 by 3 5/8. So these 3 pieces are going to be the bottom sections of the box, like so. So you can ink the edges if you want to. I did with mine, but you don't have to. And I'm just going to take the backing off of these and put them on. And I will fast forward this part of the video so that you don't have to watch me slowly do this, okay? Okay, so now we have the bottom 3 pieces on. Now we're going to put our paper on the flaps. And for your flaps, you're going to need 6 pieces of designer paper, and you can have a totally different paper from the bottom, and a totally different paper under the flaps, and a totally different paper on the tops of the box flaps. I'm just going to use all the same paper. So some of you may be wondering why I decided to do this when there's a whole bunch of other tutorials out there for pop-up box cards. Well, I'm doing it for my followers and my fans, and some people have always asked me, how do you do this, and how do you do that, and how do you arrange your flowers? So I thought this might be an opportunity to share with you how I go about doing some things like that. So once again, I'm going to fast forward this part of the video so that you don't have to watch me slowly put on all these pieces. Okay, there we go. So we have all 9 of our panels around the side and the front of the box. I forgot to mention that the card base, I like to use 100-pound cardstock. Lots of companies carry 100-pound stock. I like to use Basil's Card Shop 100-pound cardstock. They have it in 8.5 by 11 and 12 by 12 for larger projects. So I really love having the 12 by 12. I keep a little bit of both sizes on hand. So the next thing we're going to do is you need to have 2 or possibly 3 strips to fit the size of the box, and they should measure 3.5 inches by 3/4 inches. Okay, then you're going to take them and you're going to score 1/2 inch on either side. Okay, and at this point, some people like to put their box together, then put these little strips inside. It can get a little difficult. What I like to do is put double-sided adhesive on both of these little tabs, but only attach one side, peel off the backing, and then put the box together, peel off the backing, and stick in the other end. So the best thing to do, this can just be eyeballed, and so we know that this is the back, so it's going to have to be on a side and a side. So when you fold these, you're going to fold one direction and one the other direction, so it looks kind of like a Z. Okay, so one in one direction and one in the other, and you do that with all 3 of them like this. And then we're going to put our double-sided adhesive. You can use glue too if you wish. I find it's always a little messy. I only use glue if I absolutely have to. So you want to, okay, so we're going to have the adhesive on this side and this side. Okay, so it's on opposite sides. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we put our tabs in the right place, and I've already messed this up once, but I'll fix it. So we need to keep in mind that this is the back of the box, these are the sides of the box, and that's where we want to have our little tabs or embellishing panels, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to position them so that you can get 3 in that space, and you can make pencil marks to line them up if you want, and you want them all to be about the same height. And the last one here. The spacing between them doesn't have to be exactly the same. So then you can burnish them, and I need to do that since I had to take mine off and reapply them. So I really want to make sure that they don't come off. Okay, now the next thing is we need a piece of, I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to glue this back down. We need to have a panel on here that I forgot to cut, and it's going to go down a little further to the back. So I would say it needs to be 2 5/16 wide by let's say 5 inches. Okay, it could be a little less. I wouldn't go any less than 4.5. So anywhere between 4.5 and 5 inches. And I am going to quickly see if I do have some more of that paper. And I'm going to stick with my polka dot sides of the paper. And I'm going to cut 2 5/8, or 5/16 I should say, by 5. And if you're wondering where the 5/16 is, 4/16 is a 1/4 inch. So 5/16 is that next little line past a 1/4 inch. So so that's where you would put that. And then we're going to go to 5 inches. Okay. And check to see that that fits there. This way. And it does. And I'm just going to, I inked the edges of everything on this one, so I want to make sure that I do it with this one as well. I'm just lightly using vintage. I was saying when the battery went dead that the vintage photo goes nice with this cardstock that I chose, and plus it gives it a nice sort of vintagey look. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this back panel on, and remember this is the back panel where we don't want the flap to be folded, so by having paper on the front and the back of the panel, it makes it nice and strong, and very obviously the back to the card. Okay, there we go. So the next thing we have to do is join them together, and this time I have the strips inside done correctly. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that on. But we won't worry about these just yet. That'll be the next step. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that the bottom part is all flush, because that's where the card box will be standing on. If it doesn't match up at the fold lines, it's no big deal, especially considering that we really can't see them on the back panel anyway. So we want to make sure it's nice and flush with that bottom part of the tab and along that fold line. Then you can go and burnish that. And I just realized I made another mistake. You're supposed to put the panel in after putting that tab on, because I'll show you in the camera here. You see how on the back panel there, that tab is now showing on the designer paper? We should put the tab on, then the designer paper. See, that was something that I had forgotten since I last made the card. So that's what I get for trying to do something really quick. So put the little box together on that tab, then put this designer strip in. Then when we've done that, then we can attach these strips to the other side. They do not need to be perfectly aligned, as long as they're the same distance from the top as the one side is on the other end. Sorry, I know you won't be able to see this in the viewfinder of the camera. I'm just trying to line it up. Okay. Then we're going to do the next two. And it's always a good idea to kind of do this so that you know if they're lining up well for when you fold up the card. And it looks like I'm going to have to trim a little bit off on this one, because I put a little too close to the front of the box. So let's test this here. And it works. Okay, and test it the other way. It works too. So there we have our box. It's pretty basic. So the next thing we have left to do is the embellishing part. And I've gone ahead and done some fussy cutting from scraps, etc. So I don't know, since there's so much green on my mat as well as my fussy cutting, I don't know if you can see it. But I want to be sure that I have my birds and my butterflies a little more obvious on the embellishing part. So I'm pulling out my birds and butterflies and some more unique things, I guess. And then I have these ferns that I fussy cut out. This is from the 12 by 12 ATC cards, and this is from the 8 by 8 pad ATC cards. And I love these ferns. They grow plenty here on Vancouver Island. So whenever you go for nature walks, especially in the woods, you'll see a lot of these. So I want to have something that kind of, we don't want it to go past the top if we're going to fit it in the envelope. Okay, so when we stick it on, we're going to have to decide, do we want to fold it this way so it fits in, or the other way. So whichever way you're going to fold it, if you're going to do it to the left like this, then you have more freedom in going out the left back part of the box. If you're going to fold it this way, then you're more free to put a little bit more towards the right of the box as we fold it up. Okay, so you must take that into consideration as you construct with your embellishings here. So I'm going to have everything fold to the left, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly construct this on my own and tape it while I do it, but I'm going to fast forward it 2 times the speed, so it won't be too fast, so that you can see what I've done with all these pieces. And I want to state that normally I use white foam squares or dimensionals, but I'm all out. Oh no, I do have some large ones, so maybe I can cut those up. But all I have pretty much are black ones, and I've run out of the white. I do have a roll that I keep in emergencies from the dollar store, and I really don't like the roll that much, but it is white. So I will just quietly work away and then fast forward this part so that you can see me constructing it. Okay everyone, so now you have seen me put together a pop-up box card and embellish it. It didn't turn out quite as nicely as my first one, and sometimes that's the case for me. In part it is due to the fact that I don't have much left to fussy cut out and so on and so forth, but I think that my mom's friend is going to like this card anyway. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that I've been able to help some of you that have questioned, you know, how do I layer? How do I put my flowers and so on and so forth together? So there we have it, and at the same time I showed you how to make a 5x7 card pop-up box. And as I said, I'm going to put the measurements on my blog at Aspiring to Creativity, and also I will have them at the bottom of the video description. So again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you had fun. Bye for now. I'm adding a little addendum here because I realized I didn't really show you the box. I kind of had it at an angle like this, so I'm tilting it here